Femke Bol just did something in Birmingham that hadn't been matched by a Dutch athlete in more than 70 years. And the crazy part, she did it after spending most of this season racing the 800 meters instead of the event that made her famous, one relay leg, one final. And suddenly, Femke Bol was standing alongside one of the greatest athletes in Dutch athletics history. Here's what happened Sunday night at Alexander Stadium. The women's 4x400-meter relay final at the 2026 European Athletics Championships. The Netherlands were chasing something special, a third consecutive European title, Munich, Rome, and now Birmingham. But standing in their way were some serious teams. Norway had been one of Europe's fastest teams all season. Spain had already set a national record. Poland had depth across all four legs. And Great Britain had the home crowd behind them. But everyone was watching one woman, Femke Bol, because 2026 has been completely different for her. Instead of spending the season focusing on the 400 meters, Bol moved into the 800 meters. She had just won her first European medal at that distance, a bronze. And that created a huge question. After spending so much of the season racing 2 laps, did Bol still have that terrifying 1-lap speed? We were about to find out. The Netherlands started with Merte van der Schoot, then came Lieke Klaver, then Evelyn Salberg, and finally Femke Bol. The Dutch team immediately looked dangerous. Van der Schoot and Klaver built a strong lead. For a moment, it looked like the race might already be over, but Great Britain wasn't going away. They started clawing the Netherlands back, meter by meter. By the time Salberg reached the final exchange, the Dutch advantage had almost disappeared, and then Bol received the baton. Great Britain's Emily Nwanagham was right there on Bol's shoulder. For roughly 300 meters, the home crowd kept getting louder, and Bol didn't panic. Her posture stayed perfect, her stride stayed smooth, her arms barely moved. She looked almost effortless. But she was under pressure, because this wasn't a comfortable lead, this was a fight. Then they reached the final straight, and suddenly Bol found another gear. She began pulling away, not by a huge distance, but enough. The Netherlands crossed the line first, 3:21.10, their fastest time of the season. Great Britain took silver in 3:21.68. Italy claimed bronze in 3:23.57, and Bol's anchor split 49.5 seconds. Interestingly, Nwanagham also ran 49.5. So this race wasn't simply about who was faster, it was about positioning timing, and who could execute when the pressure reached its highest point, and Femke Bol did exactly that. The Netherlands had completed the hat trick. Munich, Rome, Birmingham, 3 straight European titles. But then came the number that made this night even bigger. With that medal, Femke Bol reached 8 European Championship medals, 8, and that puts her alongside one of the most legendary names in Dutch sporting history, Fanny Blankers-Koen, a record that had stood since the 1950s, more than 7 decades. Nobody in Dutch athletics had matched it until Femke Bol. And there's an incredible difference between their medal collections. Blankers-Koen won 8 European medals with 5 golds. Bol now has 8. But with 6 gold medals, 1 silver, and 1 bronze. And she's done it across just 3 European championships. She's only 26, so this record may not stay tied for very long. But here's why Bol's achievement is even more impressive. Her European medals haven't simply come from comfortable victories. They've often come from situations where the Netherlands were behind. At Budapest in 2023, Bol famously fell just before the finish of the mixed relay while carrying the Dutch team toward the line. 8 days later, she returned for the women's 4x400 final. The Netherlands were around 10 to 12 meters behind when she received the baton. Bol chased them down and won gold. Then came Paris, 2024. Another relay. Another huge deficit. This time, Bol received the baton around 15 meters behind the United States, and then she produced a ridiculous 47.93-second split. She hunted down the American team and helped the Netherlands win Olympic gold. So when people look at Bol's medal collection, they're not just looking at medals. They're looking at comebacks, pressure, and moments when she had to rescue her team. And Bol herself isn't pretending she did it alone. After Birmingham, she credited the system around her and admitted she hadn't specifically trained for this kind of speed during the season. That's what makes this story so fascinating. She changed events. She moved to the 800. She spent the year developing a completely different racing style. And somehow she still finished the European Championships by tying a record that had survived for more than 70 years. So now the question becomes, how many more European medals can Femke Bol win? Because if she can match Fanny Blankers-Koen's record at just 26, there's a very real chance she doesn't just tie the Dutch record.